Welcome to your Story Within podcast. I'm Janine Bennett, and this is my special guest host, Melanie Lemus. And today we're going to talk about the awesome topic of procrastination.
Yes. When you asked me if I wanted to help you talk about procrastination, my initial thought was, I'm not your girl for knowing how to not procrastinate, but I've overcome a lot of my procrastination tendencies. So maybe I do have a couple of things to add.
Right. So, I'm glad you brought that up, Melanie, because as we discuss different topics, and as you know, after every show, I do put a call out that says, hey, if you have a great topic you'd like us to discuss, send us a comment or contact us via our other social media channels. Anyway, so the topic of procrastination came up, and Melanie and I both, to be honest and authentic here, to be real, we looked at each other like, wow, okay, because we have some issues with that area. Now, I will tell you, when it comes to client work or coaching, that kind of stuff, procrastination is definitely not my issue. However, as Melanie will attest to, my business side, my visionary thinking side, I have all these grand ideas and my checklist is very long, and I will at times have that. I'd love to do that someday.
Right.
So she's really good for keeping me on track, unless she's in one of her procrastination moods. So we're going to talk about that.
What's interesting is that you and I we'll learn here in a few minutes that there are 5 pretty distinct styles of procrastination, and you can either fall very easily into one category, or you can be a little bit of a number of them, or maybe all of them. And you and I tend to be, I think we each have some tendencies from a couple of categories, but they actually are different from each other. So I think this will be interesting, discussing our different types of procrastination and how we have overcome them in our professional and personal lives.
Yes. So first, let's talk about what is procrastination. So in its very basic form, procrastination is basically just putting off something you need to do now for a later time. Now, again, Melanie talked about the 5 different types that we're going to get into, but that is basically it. You know, you should be doing something now, but for whatever reason, whether it's one of those types we're going to talk about, you're just not doing it. And so I'll ask this, Melanie, does everybody procrastinate? What do you think?
I'm pretty sure everybody procrastinates, at least in some area of their life.
Yes, I would agree. I just threw that out just to get us started. All right, so let's jump right into those 5 types. All right, I'm gonna put you on the spot here, Melanie.
Well, I'm going to put in a quick plug there first, because I've actually written a blog that's going to go up either this afternoon or tomorrow about the 5 types of procrastination. So if our listeners want a little bit more in-depth detail, they can go to the Vision to Purpose website and click on blogs, and they will find it there probably this afternoon. So
awesome. So 5 types of procrastination. We got perfectionist, dreamer, avoider, crisis maker, and the busy procrastinator. All right, I'm throwing you under the bus here. Which one am I?
I would definitely say you're a combination of the dreamer and the busy procrastinator, and we'll find out why here in a second.
Yeah.
What do you think I am?
Ooh.
I'm the crisis maker.
Well, no, I don't see you as the crisis maker. Not for me. I see you as the dreamer. You come with so many ideas, and it's like sometimes it's the fire hose, and it's like, Melanie, I need you to back up a minute. I love all of your ideas, but I can't do them now because remember, I'm the busy procrastinator. And great idea.
You have a bit of that dreamer. But let's talk about what they are. Do you want me to start out?
Yes.
Okay, so the first one, the perfectionist. I was actually really shocked to find out that my husband is a perfectionist type when it comes to schoolwork. He's working on his bachelor's degree right now. And when it comes to writing papers, his tendency will be he will be paralyzed with inactivity because he wants his papers to be perfect immediately. So he doesn't want to write anything until he has it all set out perfectly. So he doesn't even start. The perfectionist is going to be so worried with the tiny little details that they can't see the big picture and just get something out there. So the perfectionist type, the best remedy for perfectionist type would be to realize that everybody makes mistakes and allow time in your process for correcting those mistakes. So just start and then tackle it as you go. So that's the best advice for the perfectionist. The second one, do you want to talk about the busy procrastinator?
Oh, you're going to put me on the spot here. All right. So a busy procrastinator, as I would call myself, is one who tends to postpone making decisions because we're just too busy. My checklist is, pages and pages long. It's not just one, list of say 10 items. No, mine is, because I'm also a big thinker, probably why I am now an entrepreneur. I'm very visionary, and I'm also what they call a learner. If you've ever done Gallup Strengths, meaning I get so much joy out of learning stuff that sometimes I forget to actually act on what I've learned. I just want to keep going down that rabbit hole to learn, which means my list of things to do keeps me very busy. And then I'll get that deer in the headlight look, like if an opportunity comes along where this is great. Take this podcast for instance. I wanted to do a podcast, gosh, Melanie, since 2018? 2019, when you came on, we talked about podcasts and all these things. And I'm like, there's no way I could do a podcast. Not right now, not that. And I kept pushing it up someday, one day. It was on my list, but it was like on page 3 of that list. Right. And it was this year that I said, you know what? I'm never going to do it if I keep saying someday. Right. So instead of avoiding the decision, I said, let's do it. Melanie supported me. She's my great supporter. And she has experience in doing these things. She did it for the Navy. And if I recall correctly, you did this, what was it, in Japan or
well, I didn't do podcasts, but I did have a radio show.
Well, and radio show.
Anchor. So tie those together, and this is
yeah. So this is your wheelhouse. So she the good thing about working with Melanie, I'll tell you, when you're a procrastinator, in opposite areas that she does challenge me to move forward and help me with that. So anyway, busy procrastinator. As
your taskmaster before.
Well, yeah. Yes, that's true. You're not supposed to say that on camera. Anyway.
Even Raul just sent a message and he said, I meant to start watching these podcasts, but I've been putting it off. Well, it's a good day to join us, Stephen. So hopefully you won't miss it again, because yes, putting things off, like Janine was saying, with the busy procrastinator, you were mentioning a couple of things that I feel like also tie into, there goes Champ, that kind of tie into the dreamer. So the dreamer procrastinator is somebody that just has so many ideas and will start projects. You should see how many paint swatches I have on my walls at home right now. So I'm one of those dreamers where I want to start projects, but we're also learners. And so we get so interested in something else that we tend to not always finish what we start. And so I think you're a great finisher, but you have so many ideas. And I've said the same thing about you, where I'm like, Janine, take a step back. We can't do everything, So the challenge for the dreamers is to really prioritize the things that are going to get us ahead in our careers or in our personal life or in our finances, and really just focus on the things that are actually applicable to our life. So for the dreamer, they don't have trouble getting started, but it's the finishing. So.
Right. So you did mention, I do have some of the dreamer in me, although I do tend to finish. So maybe, I don't know, is there can you be part something? We didn't do research on that. I don't know. Did you find anything?
Well, I think that when you were younger, did you have problems following through and it's just something that you've overcome?
Maybe. I will say I'm one of those people that can't turn their brain off. I was once told, what do they call that? Oh, darn it. Well, basically your brain, constant ideas flow. I'll wake up in the middle of the night and I have a notepad or my phone by my bed so that I can write a storyline, or I've outlined entire book chapters at 2 a.m. because I'll wake up and these thoughts just flood me constantly. So anyway, of course,
I need to start doing that, writing it down, because the other night I actually, the next morning I told Chris, I was like, Chris, I came up with our $1 million idea last night. He's like, really? What is that? I was like, I don't remember. I forgot to write it down. But I remember
that. Yeah.
This is brilliant.
That's why you got to have the notepad or your phone to talk into. Of course, your spouse is sleeping. You don't want to wake them up. All right. Well, let's jump to the crisis maker. Yes. You said you're a crisis maker. So what's up with that?
I am a crisis maker, especially when I was in college for 17 years. I'm one of those dreamers. I can't make up my mind. I was everything from a music major to I think I even majored. I don't even know what the title of the major would be, but I was going to be a PE teacher for about a semester, and then I know that is so not me. But I also went and I was going to go into nursing, and then I was going to go whatever. So I ended up I was bored at college one day and joined the military, and but anyway, in college, especially when it came to doing assignments, I would wait till the very last minute, and then I would just go. It was just this concentrated burst of effort where I would wait and wait and wait. And then I was like, okay, here it is. And I would go. And I actually really thrive under that kind of pressure, because it forces me to focus, because I don't have time for all the distractions that normally get me throughout the day. I'm like, oh, I could do this, or oh, my phone, or oh, whatever. Yeah. So when I wait until the very last minute and it's a crisis and it's an emergency, I have to get this task done, then I am forced to tune out everything else. And I actually really thrive as a crisis maker. But one of the problems with crisis makers is that you don't leave yourself time to double check your work or to fix any mistakes that might come along the way. In the blog this week, I give an example of one time my parents were coming into town and I wanted to repaint the guest room. I literally finished painting 2 hours before they arrived. So the paint had just enough time to dry. But as it dried, I realized there was like a couple of spots that I had missed, but it didn't leave me time to fix it before they arrived. Not that they cared, but that's an example of the crisis maker tends to not leave themselves time for a great job. So what a crisis maker can do is, like I was saying before, give yourself these tiny little bursts of focused energy. I would say somewhere between 20 to 45 minutes. And in between those breaks, get up and, grab a drink of water or stretch or whatever, and then sit back down for another concentrated burst of effort. And I feel like the crisis makers tend to be those of us that are easily distracted. So shut off your phone, even take social media off your phone if that's a big temptation for you. One thing that this ties into a lot of the different types of procrastination, but do you find, well, you've been working from home for a while now, and so have I, but do you find that for friends of yours or people you've spoken to who are working from home for the first time now during COVID, that distractions are a really big part of struggling to get the work done that needs to be done when they're at home?
Well, I'll tell you, having been in the workforce for so long, going to, military commands or academic institutions, commercial organizations, you name it, I 30-year career of doing different things. And so when I first started working from home, I got to tell you, it was tough because my husband already worked from home. And my husband, my husband, he is very ADHD, they say, I remember he went in to get tested, and the guy basically said, okay, you can stop, Hayden. I don't even need to go any further. He was only there 5 minutes. He said, yeah, you're classified as a very hyper individual. When you talk about squirrel, that's my husband. He'll start a task, and unless it's something that he's truly, truly passionate about, he knocks things out like that, and he's moving all over the place. So for me, I am not that way. I need peace and quiet. I need no distractions so I can stay focused, because as you've noticed, my dog keeps coming in the podcast room. AKA my office. And he is such a big distraction because I just look at him and want to play with him. And so it takes me away from doing what I want to do. My husband comes in, my child comes in now with this virtual schooling, my son will come in during his break, which is at 10:15, and, asks me a million questions. And now he's awake and wants to, have these chats. And I'm like, buddy, I got work. I got to get done. I got a call. I got yada, yada, yada. And so it's been a challenge trying to figure that out. For the podcast, I threw up some curtains just to, hide some of the house, if you will, like many people are doing during this time of pandemic lockdown and so forth. But I really need doors so I can lock them out.
Well, I remember you were saying that before you had that curtain up, that the boys would come in and like hug you and whatever, and you're like, okay, I love you too, but stop breaking my concentration.
Yeah.
And so that curtain up has sort of kept you out of sight, out of mind, where they kind of leave you alone a little bit more.
Yes, they used to. When I first put it up, they thought, oh, she's on a podcast, we have to be quiet. Or, oh, she's on a call, a coaching call, we have to be quiet. Now, I hope they're not watching this, but now I close the curtain when I just want peace. So they think I'm doing something and they won't bother me. But anyway.
Well, I feel like that's sort of the distractions is kind of a passive procrastination, because we're trying to get things done, but it's constantly gets put off. So in that sense, maybe it's not procrastination, because I feel like procrastination is something that is self-inflicted. We kind of do it to ourselves. But in that effect, that is one thing that is also putting off work. But well, back to the 5. We haven't finished the 5. We talked about the busy procrastinator, the dreamer, the perfectionist, and the crisis maker. We have the avoider. Yeah. Do you want to talk about the avoider?
So, okay. So the avoider, there's times, I think it's circumstantial, where I can be an avoider as well. And the avoider, again, goes to this podcast, starting this. One of the reasons I didn't want to start it was when I do something, I'm not a perfectionist per se, although Steve Rowell is on this podcast and he may say otherwise because we used to work together for many years. But I don't see myself as a procrastinator or perfectionist, as much as I see myself as wanting to do a really good job. I'm not one of those. It just has to look a certain way. It doesn't have to be perfect. So if I don't know how to do something, because remember, I'm that learner. If I don't know how to do something, I will avoid it like the plague,
right?
Until I can sit down and find time to do it. So I lack the confidence, I guess.
Right. And that's a key.
To get started. So the podcast, I didn't know how to do a podcast. Other than using tools like Zoom and all that kind of stuff, I'm not a podcast person. I don't like to have my picture taken. I don't like to be on camera. I'm getting better. This is a challenge for me, to be honest.
Well, you feel like a natural. I've got to tell you.
I don't feel like a natural.
Well, you hide it well. With the avoider, you touched on a really important aspect of the avoider personality. They tend to have a lack of confidence if they know that it's something that they're not great at. So one of the tips for the avoider personality is to build research time into your project. Give yourself time. Like if doing a podcast, right, from the conception to the actual production, you're building in a month, add another couple of weeks to the beginning of that to research so that you are more confident, and it helps you along the entire process. So for the avoiders, give yourself a boost of confidence with knowledge. So build in time to do the research and do the study.
Right. True. So I think we covered them all now. I think we got them. Perfectionist. Oh, let me put it back up so we remember. We got those 5. Which one are you? Think about it. All right. So let's talk about some of the personal factors of procrastination. So some of them are low self-confidence, non-valuable or enjoyable work, distractibility, which I talked about a little bit, and then lack of belief. So what do you think is one of your biggest personal factors, Melanie?
For me, actually, can you leave those up there so we can reference them?
Yeah.
what all four were.
Oh,
So
not
for
that
me,
one.
I would think that lack of belief is a big one for me. And I think we talked about this in one of our other podcasts, or maybe in one of our personal conversations, where I truly have to believe in what I'm doing to stay motivated. If it's something that I'm like, what is the point of this? I have a
Yeah.
hard time staying on track. So for me, I would say I have to believe in it. What about you?
Well, definitely have to believe in it, but I also a little bit of, like I said, that low self-confidence in a particular area. I'm an expert in certain things, but when you have a company and you're trying to grow it, sometimes you got to step outside the comfort zone. And
Right.
stepping outside that comfort zone means doing things that I don't know how to do.
Mhm.
So then I have a confidence issue of doing it well, because in my mind, we have this perception of ourselves. We've built this vision of who we are and what we want to represent. And when you have a company, for me, I have found that it's all about brand, and I don't want to make myself not appear a certain way.
Right.
3 years into this now, I've realized and discovered that it's more about being authentic, and
Right.
people want you to succeed.
Yeah.
So it's helped me get over some of those self-confidence issues in areas like technology, hence the podcast, hence I do a Bible study on Tuesday nights that's also live, that kind of stuff. I'm really going outside of the comfort zone. So I'm like you, I have to believe in what I'm doing. If I do, I thrive.
Mhm.
I also have to enjoy what I'm doing. If I don't enjoy it, I will be miserable, and then I will procrastinate. I will not want to move forward on certain tasks.
Right.
And that's when I send them to you, Melanie. No, I'm just kidding. No.
There's actually a technique for the tasks that we don't enjoy, and it's called eat the frog. Have you heard of this?
No.
So I forget who said, and I want to say it was Mark Twain, but I could be very wrong.
Wow, I
They
haven't heard
said,
that.
if you start every morning by eating a frog, most likely that's going to be the worst thing that you have to do all day. So
Okay.
everything else will seem not so terrible. So the idea behind this eat the frog approach is do the task that you are dreading the most first. And then the rest of the day, it's like, I got that
Huh.
off. That's like me. Like if I don't work out in the morning, it's not going to happen because I don't want, I like to work out
Okay.
before I'm awake enough to realize how much I actually don't enjoy it. So once I have that done, I'm like, oh, I don't have to do that again today. So,
Right,
eat the frog first, do the task that you are just putting off and dreading. And then, the rest of the day should be.
Well, that's a good point, because, you also get that sense of accomplishment sometimes,
Right.
depending on what it is. Working out, like you said, that's a great sense of accomplishment. You're starting your day off on a good note. You've already succeeded at something, and you can check something off that list and know that it's done.
Right.
Hayden and I have been together for 26 years, married, gosh, going to be 22 now. And he was in the Navy. And when we first got together, I'm a house straightener. He's the deep cleaner. And he took his Navy training to, let me tell you, when they had inspection, he almost lost his hand when we first got married, because I was so proud to say, honey, I cleaned the house and check it out, it's sparkling. And he went to the top of the refrigerator and did the test. And I said, don't ever do that again.
Right.
So we laugh about that. We laugh now. But I bring that up because he's also a bed maker,
I am
from day
too.
one, bed maker. And, okay, I'm telling on myself, but I wasn't the bed maker. I was the straightener. If the room looked clean, picked up, whatever,
You just kind of toss the sheets up, fold, throw them up to the top,
yeah,
not make.
Yeah. Today, all these years later, it's such a habit that I have to make the bed, and it has to be nice, and it has to look nice, and it fits the bed perfect and whatever. And I tell you, every time after I do it, I feel this sense of accomplishment. Like, yep, I can start my day now. The bed's made.
You bring up a great point about early morning routines. I am definitely a bed maker also. And I feel like when my bed is neat and tidy, the rest of my house tends to be more neat and tidy. And I don't know why there's a correlation there, but if I like every time I walk into my bedroom and I see this like mess of all the comforter and we have a lot of blankets and they're always like everywhere. I'm a tosser and a turner at night. And we have tons of pillows. Like, so if I don't make that straightened, I feel like the rest of my day is a little bit more chaotic. Another habit, a bad habit in the morning that is in its root procrastination is hitting the snooze button. If you get up when your alarm goes off the first time, that sets a precedent for the rest of the day that I am not going to put off things that are unpleasant. I'm going to get up and I'm going to plus giving yourself that extra, I don't know why alarm clocks have a 9-minute snooze button, but giving yourself that extra 9 minutes instead of hitting snooze 1 or 2 or 3 times, you are less, you're not creating a crisis of now I'm running late for work, so don't hit snooze. Don't hit snooze and make your bed. I feel like those 2 habits right there will really set the tone for the day.
Right. And in my earlier, younger days, I was the snoozer at least 3 times. Oh. And, the straightener, not the bed. Today, I do not hit the snooze. And I literally will lay in my bed as soon as it goes off and say, get out of bed. I mean, I tell myself I don't hit snooze. And especially as it's starting to get colder, I am I have 2 quilts on me. My husband sleeps with a sheet, and I have a mattress bed warmer. So
it's hard to get out into the cold air, huh?
Yes. So the only thing that keeps me in the bed, and that's why in my mind I say get out of bed, is because I'm so warm and toasty. Mm-hmm. I don't want to. But it becomes a habit and it's ingrained in you. You just, you got to do it. And again, it gives you that, let's get this day started. It sets the tone. It sets the tone for them.
And I think subconsciously when we hit snooze, we're kind of failing ourselves a little bit. And that gives us I let myself down again today. And I'm so lazy. And why can't I do this? And why can't I get up? So it's really like a really tiny subconscious mental boost. Get up and do something positive, whether that's like, I work from home. I could be in my pajamas every day, but podcast day if I wanted to. But I started a habit about a year ago where every morning I would get up, maybe put on some mascara and brush my hair. And actually, I always joke, like, get out of my nighttime pajamas into my daytime pajamas, which is usually like a sweater and leggings. I mean, I'm still comfortable, but I don't look like a, hot mess. So I think those little habits will help you be more productive throughout the day. It's a more positive mental state.
Right. Agreed. Definitely agreed. Let's see here. So did we cover everything? Let me see. We did cover low self-confidence, non-valuable or enjoyable work, distractibility, lack of belief.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. What were you going to say?
I was going to say there's another tip for, with procrastination, oftentimes comes a feeling of guilt. We know that we're supposed to be doing something else, right? So 2 things I wanted to touch upon. One, I remember when I would go, to a party or to a gathering or go out to eat or sit down and binge watch something and I had a paper that was due, I would not truly enjoy those moments because I had this task hanging over my head. Like, I know I should be doing something else. And so if you truly want to enjoy your recreation, get those tasks done first. And then you don't have, it frees up that mental space to really be in the moment instead of like, I have to leave the party an hour early so that I can get home and write this paper and do this project for work, or whatever it is. And the other thing I wanted to bring up is, we can't be expected to constantly be on the ball and constantly be working and constantly be like working toward our goals, right? We need that mental break. We need to be able to check out and just relax, But one thing that we can do is if we know that we want to, for example, I'm trying to work toward my ham radio license operator, or radio operator license, right?
Right.
So when I feel like I just want to just kind of mentally check out and not do vision to purpose work and not do whatever.
What? Not do vision to purpose work?
That never happened. No, but I can tune out, but procrastinate productively. I could, instead of binge watching, another 5 episodes of Bones, which they have right now on one of my streaming apps, and I've never watched it before, and I'm very into it. I could, watch a YouTube video on ham radio operating. And so I could procrastinate productively. So I still feel like I'm accomplishing something.
Yes.
I think you and I are very much accomplishers. We like to constantly be learning and doing something. So
Right.
I don't know if our entire audience is going to be able to relate to that procrastinate productively, because sometimes you just want to let your brain rot,
Well,
and I get
yeah, but I tell you, I'm glad you brought that up because I know of my limitations or perhaps, I don't know, my weaknesses. I don't know what you want to call it, but I schedule time. I
Yeah.
once had my mentor, a leader, tell me that you have to schedule time for yourself.
Yeah.
And for instance, in the morning on certain days, he would schedule 2 hours to learn something new, to try something new, to do research, to do whatever with no distractions, no meetings, nothing. And so I'm very good about scheduling something to get done to feed into that other need that I have, which is the learner, which I know is going to take me down the rabbit hole. So now
Right.
I know that, okay, to help me not procrastinate, I just need to give myself permission, that time, set time. So I typically do not start work, and I think you know this, until 10 a.m. But I will work late into the night if I have to, because I have also discovered that I work better later than I do earlier. In the morning, I fiddle. I want to talk to Hayden, drink my coffee, play with my dog. I want to do some research. I want to get on there and check out, what is the best podcasting platform to use? What color scheme should I try this time? Oh, do I need to order those, business shirts we've been talking about for 2 years? I afford myself that time from 8 to 10, because I know if I don't do it, then I'm going to put something else off during the day that I don't want to do all these things I want to do. So
Right.
part of it is knowing yourself. And I will
Yes.
tell you, you had mentioned at the beginning when we were talking about distractibility. When you are distracted, I read a lot of books on from neuroscientists and whatnot that talk about the brain, and one of my favorites is Brain Rules. If you've ever heard of that, and they talk about in the book, if you get distracted, it takes you 20 minutes, a minimum of 20 minutes to get focused again. So imagine when I'm telling you, my husband comes in, my dog comes in, my son comes in. That's what causes me later, because I'm easily distracted, to work until 8 o'clock at night,
Right.
because I have to keep refocusing, restarting. So if you're like that and you have lots of distractions, especially say you're working from home now, say you're an author trying to write that book, or you're a job seeker trying to fill out those applications, just remember all those distractions you let in. If that's one of your issues, it's going to take you 20 minutes. So it's going to expand your time of having to do the task you don't want to do at that moment, or whatnot, that much longer. So know yourself is what I'll say. Anyway,
Right.
so I think we covered everything. Let's talk about some of the downsides. I know we're kind of throwing some of the downsides of procrastination in, but what are
Right.
some key downsides to not fixing this issue?
Well, time is a non-renewable resource. We all have a finite amount of time, and procrastination, by definition, is wasting time. And so I think the biggest tip to overcoming procrastination is just mental determination, just digging down deep, disciplining yourself, and doing what you know you need to get done. So realize that time is a non-renewable resource. And then also realize that procrastination, it causes you to miss opportunities and not make your goals if you're a really bad chronic procrastinator, right? Not only that, but poor time management. It translates to poor performance at work or within your relationships, and it can sabotage our careers and damage our reputations.
Yes, yes, absolutely. It can also lower self-esteem, make you feel ashamed or embarrassed because you didn't complete a task that maybe somebody was counting on you to complete, or yourself.
Yeah.
Melanie talked about feeling guilty because you put off doing something you should have been doing to binge watch Bones or whatever,
Right.
which is a great show, by the way. I do like that show. And I'll tell you, when you have deadlines, okay, authors, you have a deadline. You got to get that book done by a certain date. And I'll tell you, you do not want to put something off and then get caught trying to rush to get something done. I'll be honest, I did that this summer. I tried, I do a lot of self-publishing. I wrote the book Career Advice for High School Students. And for the first time with Amazon's Kindle self-publish feature, I chose Kindle Select. And months prior to writing this book, I did this 90-day promotion where people could pre-order. Well, you have to have the book ready by a particular release date that is set by Amazon to fulfill that obligation. And if you do not meet that obligation, that deadline, you will not be allowed to promote your book on Amazon through Kindle for an entire year.
Wow.
And for a self-published author, Amazon's one of the biggest platforms, not the only. There's a lot of others, and we'll talk about that next week with Christy Barrett, who's coming on. But to not have Amazon, the biggest online book retailer, is tough. So you don't want to miss a deadline. So what happened to me was I had published another book prior to that, and then I helped another new author publish a book, and then realized my deadline was fast approaching. And it was tough, let me tell you, because you don't want to put out a product that's not a good quality product. That's my name on that. That's my company reputation. And like Melanie said, you miss things. So I definitely had to have somebody go behind me to make sure that what I put out was quality product, which cost me more money now. It puts so much stress on me and my family. So you don't want to do that, that it's not a good thing. And then I felt guilty about it. I felt horrible that I let that happen. So you don't want to experience those things. It takes away relaxation time. So while I'm stressing, I didn't get to relax with my family. And this was over the summer, when the summer's a great time. We have a pool. I wanted to go swimming and just chill. I didn't get to do any of that because I put myself on the hook, and then I didn't follow through, and I got caught on rushing to complete a deadline. Not good. Again, it can damage your reputation. You can be known as the person who never arrives on time. You could be known as the person who's not dependable. So you don't want to do that. And then you can cause yourself to feel sick. Stress is a killer. Stress is a killer. You don't want to put yourself in that situation where you physically make yourself sick. Yeah. And then there's, going along the health side, depression, other cognitive distortions. You start thinking people see you in a certain light when maybe they don't. I mean, there's a whole host of cognitive distortions, which that's a whole nother episode we can talk about, especially with the pandemic and things people are thinking. So we need to add that to our list, Melanie.
Okay.
But anyway,
that'll require some research. We need to build research into our podcast on.
Yeah, absolutely.
One other thing that procrastination does is when you're procrastinating putting off a large decision, like should we move? Should we do X, Y, or Z? Whatever. If you procrastinate, say you are trying to decide where to move. Say your lease is coming, like on your rental prop or the house that you're renting, whatever, is coming up, and you have to leave because they're going to sell the house or whatever. Right. And you put off that decision until the very last minute, it's going to force you to make probably worse decisions. Your options are going to be limited if you wait till the last minute, and you're going to have poorer judgment because you are going to be forced to make a decision without necessarily thinking through it completely. So procrastination, when it comes to decisions, there are people that are paralyzed with indecision. They have a really difficult time making the decisions. So again, I go back to the advice that I that I gave for one of the types of procrastinators is build time into your process for research. So don't wait till the last minute, because
Yeah.
research, even though you aren't making the decision, research helps you in the ultimate decision making process. So that's one of the procrastination when it comes to decisions that can lead to some
Right.
pretty terrible outcomes.
Yes, yes, yes. Um, I think without saying it, you kind of touched on mindset, another area of procrastination. When you said, just do it, do it. And if you do it and you start changing the way you think, I talked about getting out of bed and making that bed right away. You talked about working out and getting it over with and then feeling the rewards afterwards, changing the mindset to just do something.
Yeah, I mean, there comes a point when you have to realize I'm an adult and I have to do tough things sometimes. Like my husband says, I'm going to say elbows, but you're going to know what I'm talking about. Excuses are like elbows. We all have some and nobody needs any more, right? So you are just going, at some point, you're going to have to stop with the excuses and just do the thing. You're a grown person. You know what I mean? It's like,
right.
Just do it,
Yes, yes. So
it all comes down
to. So we talked about some of the things to help us stop procrastinating. Is there anything else you think we need to add that we're missing?
Get someone else to do it for you.
Yes, when we make it big one day, we'll just hire a bunch of people. No, it doesn't work that way, because then you have bigger decisions and then you have other issues to deal with and opportunities. You have other opportunities. So, no, we can't put it off, and we can't give it away. You talked about the 5 personality types, and again, how to help. So we talked about the perfectionist letting go of some of the details at first and just getting the project started. Just get it started. Do it, do it, do it. Smart goals for the dreamer. If you know you're a dreamer and your thoughts are all over like me, you got to go back to SMART goals like we talked about in one of our previous episodes, so that you can have an action plan to check off and know that you're getting it done. We got a comment in here. Oh yeah, Steve says make lists. Let me put that up there. Make lists and get it done. And having worked with Steve, I hope this doesn't sound terrible, but I'm so proud of Steve because he did exactly that. He ran a marathon when we were working together. He trained and trained and trained. And so I see his picture there. I remember him running a marathon, and it was something that, he didn't think he could do, but he put his mind to it. He set the goals and he moved forward on it, and really proud of him.
That takes some serious mental fortitude.
Yes, yes. I would joke him all the time. I said, Steve, I don't run. The only thing I run is errands. I mean, that's it. But anyway, the avoider, focused on the worst first, is what you mentioned. So that's a great reminder. Crisis maker, work in short, high energy bursts. So that's a good point. That's a good point. I don't remember if we did talk about that. You said take breaks in between. I remember that. And then the busy procrastinator, me.
Learn how to say no to some things. Lisa Turkhurst, I think we've talked about this before. Yes. I know you and I have. But say no to things that you're not passionate about, or things that other people can do, so that you have the time and the space to give your best yes to the things that you're passionate about, or the things that God is telling you to do. So you have to learn to say no so that you can give your best yes.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Some additional tips. Let me look. Melanie created this long list of wonderful things, so I want to make sure I'm putting it to good use. So,
well, if they miss in this podcast, they can catch in the blog that's going up this week.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about the blog. You're right. You're right. So she already talked about creating those checklists. Ooh, this is good. Ranking the order of the priorities noted in your checklist. Yes. I did work for a woman one time back at the law school. She was awesome. And she taught me to use A, B, C, D order instead of 1, 2, 3, you know. And
Mhm.
that really did help. It really did help me to focus on what was priority for the day or, you know, whatnot. So yes,
In my
rank order
research
of those.
in my
I'm sorry.
research, I came across a method, and I forget what it was called, but it was like a quadrant, and you have stuff that is, oh, I'm gonna mess this up. It was, you rank it, and there's two separate qualities, and it's one is urgent and the other one is important. So you will have things that are urgent and important. You'll have things that are urgent but not important, like get back to me on this email, right? Then you'll have things that are important but not urgent, like your long-term goals. And then you'll have things that are not urgent and not important. And those tend to be the things that you can kind of put off or have someone else do. And the thing that they were talking about is the things that are important but not urgent, that tend to be our long-term goals, and like writing that children's book. Nobody is holding your
Right.
feet to the fire unless you have a contract. But
Right.
you know, those tend to be the things that we put off, but they're the things that we should really focus on. Put out the fires first for the urgent and important things, but then create the space and the time to do some of the things that are important to you but not necessarily urgent.
Perfect. Yes, yes, and yes.
The Covey quadrants.
What is it called?
Covey quadrants. I think we need to
Covey.
have Steve on our podcast one of these
Oh,
days.
wait, let's see. We got a comment here.
Yeah, Covey.
Oh, yeah,
Steve,
yeah,
really
Steve. I knew I could count on you, Steve. Yes,
he needs to
Covey.
come on the podcast.
I'm going to put that up so people know what it's called. I do need to bring Steve on the podcast. He's probably going to kill me for this because
He's been
he is an expert in Lean Six Sigma. And there's nothing he doesn't know about that stuff. So I do need to bring him on the show. Steve, expect an email.
He's like, I'm never tuning in again.
Yeah, right. Oh, now he lists urgent, not urgent, important, not important. Ah, okay. Okay. Yes, expect that email, Steve. All right. Well, I think we covered everything, Melanie. What do you think?
I think anybody that listens to this podcast will never procrastinate ever again.
That's right. That is our hope, right? We need to hold ourselves accountable. Let's see how we do. Did we listen to what we just stated? All right, friends. So if you just joined us in the middle of this podcast, I urge you to watch the replay so that you don't miss out on all the wonderful tips that we shared and all of the wonderful research that Melanie provided so that we could share these tips. And then as Melanie stated, also check out visiontopurpose.com, where you will see a blog on the topic of procrastination that could help as well. That she said will be posted today, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And then for next week, and I will close out with this in just a second, but next week we have Christy Barrett, an award-winning suspense and mystery author, coming on. It'll be the same time next week, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I was going to say something else about that. I think Christy, how many books has she written now? I think she's up to 100.
I talked to her about it this week, and she's excited. She's such a wealth of information, and she's so sweet. She's amazing. Really gonna get it out of the ballpark.
I think it's 100 books, and I'm not going to steal her thunder because I'm going to ask her some questions, and you're going to be like, "What?" You know, when you hear how fast she can actually write an 80,000 word novel.
Yeah.
And her process, and so if you're interested in writing a book and wanting to know, she's been doing it for, I think it's 25 years now, both traditional publishing and self-publishing. But again, next week, tune in for that. And with that, I'm going to say goodbye, Melanie.
Goodbye. Thanks for having me.
And I'm going to put up on the screen a quick picture of Christy so you know what she looks like. And oops, sorry. Also check out her website. Let me grab that here. If you want to check her out beforehand, you can go to her website. It's just christybarrett.com. and you can see the different types of books that she writes. And with that, I will say stop procrastinating, and I will see you next week. Thanks for joining us. Have a great rest of your day.